student days at the University of Lagos.
That's correct.
Yeah. Was there any specific experience on campus that pushed you into activism?
Well, so many events happen on campus. We arrived at the University of Lagos when the university was coming fresh from the Anti-SAP riots, which we participated in town. I think I'd already been granted admission, but the university was closed down after Anti-SAP riot. But we currently live in town. So, if you grew up during the time we grew up, which is in the 70s, you must have heard about the Limon School.
Yes, I did.
And everybody who want to go to university someday want to be part of an Limon School, level kind of protest, because we were told it was a legend in those days, that some students just took on the military and they shut down the country, and it made a lot of difference. So, but when we arrived in 1989, the problem was socio-economic issue with the structural adjustment program and military rule. Mm-hmm. So, and the goal was to drive the military out of power and install democratic rule in the country, which had kept Nigeria highly, highly volatile, because the civilian populace wanted the military rule to end, and the military wanted a different kind of rule that was neither military or civilian. Yeah. So Babangida who was head of state now, was tinkering with what is, academically known as diarchy. Mm-hmm. He remained a military leader, but he had civilian governors. He had a Senate. I think he had a House of Rep. And then he had a transition committee headed by Shonekon, where he kept the uniform on. And he was tinkering with the transition program. Every year, he will announce that in 1990, there's going to be a transfer of power. And then 1991, he did another thing in 1992. So by 1992, we said, it's enough. Yeah. So I was one of the student leaders who led the Babangida Must Go protest in 1992 from the University of Lagos, and shut down Lagos on that day. So yes.
Oh, wow.
And subsequently after, several things happened, including the June 12th election. It was a lot of struggle.
Mm. So now, as a student union leader at UNILAG, then, what battles defined your early years, and how did it shape your understanding of power and resistance?
I think one of the things we did as students was very quickly to interface with civil society on the outside.
Okay.
And also, this interface was also shaped by prevailing ideological positioning at that time. So we, as student leaders, were more on the socialist Marxist side of things. So we were told about, Karl Marx and how his literature and text should guide our position on fighting for the oppression. So it was about the struggle to make the oppressor become subservient to the oppressed.
Okay.
So we were practicing that on campus, because when I was at the University of Lagos, I was a departmental executive, I was a class captain, I was a member of the Faculty of Environmental Sciences executive, I was a hall welfare secretary, I was the hall chairperson of Henry Carr Hall, and ultimately the student union president at the University of Lagos. So we did sit-ins, lecture boycotts. We will fight for academic freedom, to the point that we determine when we want to write exams, especially in those days when lecturers will not come to class, because most of them had a second job in town, and then they'll just come and say, this week, I want to teach you everything that we should have taught the whole semester. We rejected that. We also engaged in fighting for the welfare of students, the hostels where our focus, make sure they have electricity, water supply, that the University Healthcare Center had enough medicine, doctors, um, and we were involved in everything, including transportation on campus. So at a point, we also dabbled into feeding. So we went, and there were a lot of all those red bricks restaurants on campus that were locked up by the school authorities. One time we just went and broke them open, rented them out to the public, people who could sell food for cheap to students. Some of them we didn't even collect rent. We had an agreement that you subsidize food, and we launched a feeding system on campus that was unprecedented. And it brought down the prices of food on campus immediately. So it was several other struggles, including, which also was defining, was a struggle against campus gangs, cultism. When we were at the University of Lagos, University of Lagos was a no place for cult activities, because it was our belief that to have a safe academic environment, students should not be looking over their shoulders from other students who have bad habits. So we were engaged in that. And what became more interesting about the anti-cult struggle was because we then found out that most of these cult guys were children of our oppressors outside. So your father is a military administrator, and you are a cult capone on campus. Nobody can touch you. The vice chancellor can't get you rusticated. The police is out there to protect you. And we came, in contact with these extreme powers. So that was one struggle that we also engaged in. And each of these struggles almost cost me my life.
I know.